So there's this man who was locked inside of a freezing and filthy UK garden shed for 40 years and kept as a slave.
What?
Wow. Like, what did they do? Like, let him out to just fucking work on the garden and then they put him back in?
So at most, he did jobs like painting, slating, and tarmacking for as little as about 10 pounds a day.
Fuck.
But he was literally in a 6-foot shed with no lights or heating for 40 years.
But why pay him if he's a slave?
Yeah, he's getting paid. Is he just balling now? What does he spend it on?
Yeah.
This is a weird time to hope for this, but please tell me he's mentally disabled in some way.
Wait, why would you want to hope for that?
Because that's the people, like, you know, they get taken advantage of in that way. Because if he's not, then it's like, holy shit. But then if he is, then it's like, oh, that's why they were able to, like, because, you know, they do that to people and they think they're living this great life, but they're really just like,
yeah.
But if they think they're living a great life, then maybe. But
damn.
You know what it usually is? It's usually like migrants. Like they bring people over from different countries and they have a different standard of living. So then they don't know that, like, this might be normal, like where they're from. But then this is just like, it's better than the fucking grass hut that they lived in.
Wait, are you saying that example as if, like, if someone is ugly as fuck but they're blind, then it's okay?
Because they can't see it.
Is that what you're saying?
no, that's physically disabled, Bart.
I mean, you can still technically feel how ugly you are.
Oh, I don't know then.
Like that condor guy.
Like, it doesn't matter because of the other thing, right? Like, it's like you're so fucking ugly, but since you can't see, it doesn't really matter. Is that what it is? I don't know. I'm trying to understand the
That's
example.
one theory that we're just gonna circulate.
Just one more example. Just try one more time.
What's another way
I don't know.
to look at this?
You're right. I never heard, I hope they're disabled. You know what I mean?
Are
Like,
you saying like they have a wheelchair, but it's made of gold? So
No, like if they have I don't know, if it's like the thing that they need to feel the pain, they don't have it.
ignorance is bliss, basically.
Yeah, right?
It's like that,
I
right?
mean, I don't hope they are.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, like if
wild
someone
level.
fucks up your hair, your haircut, but if you don't have hands, you can't even feel it. And then you're like, I guess it's cool.
If someone fucks up your haircut.
That's how I know if I got a good haircut. I feel
You
it.
feel right? You can feel.
I'm like,
oh
ooh.
yeah, that's tight.
This angle right here is straight.
Yeah, that's a tight
goes like
fade,
this.
right? Yeah, that's a tight fade. But if you don't even got hands, you're like, I think it's a tight fade.
That's true.
or if like they got COVID, but they die, so they can't smell or taste anything anyway. It doesn't
Too
matter.
soon. COVID jokes too soon.
Jokes too soon.
Too soon.
All right. Hey, editor, can we cut that part out? All right, so this dude named Peter Swales was initially charged alongside his 80-year-old father, also named Peter Swales, with modern slavery offenses. But the older man had died last year shortly before standing trial. Both men had denied the charges, including conspiring to arrange or facilitate the travel of an individual between 2015 and 2019 with a view to him being exploited. But now Peter Swales Jr. had pleaded guilty to the offense at Carlisle Crown Court and awaits sentence. The case was described as harrowing by a senior investigator who said the victim would be traumatized for the rest of his life.
How did they trap this dude in the
40
first
years?
place?
I have a question. What was the chores that he did, or the work that he did, that he was contracted to do for $10?
Painting, tarmacking,
How much painting
That's what I'm saying. 40 years worth.
father and son combo do?
airport.
Yeah, this one fucking poor
maybe they
guy.
had a contracting
Landscaping
company.
over and over.
Yeah, maybe he had a contracting company and then they used it.
But yeah, I think that's an interesting question. It's like, how do you keep a guy like that in a modern town, trapped in a shed?
That's why I was thinking that there's like a mental incapacitation.
There's something that we're, I don't know.
Well, like in human trafficking, right? Like if it's not, if it's usually it's tied with the sex trade, but if it's not, it's a labor trade. So like and it sucks because usually it's the community exploiting their own people. But like what ends up happening is like, let's say you get recruits from a poor country and then they just go, oh, I want to go to America and work, but they're uneducated. They don't know how to get the right paperwork or whatever. You get a smuggler to basically bring them over. And then some people, they just basically work illegally and then they go home. But then the other people who get trapped into the human trafficking, slavery thing, what ends up happening is like they'll get into like slums or like shitty situations where they become indentured servants, which is basically slavery, right? And they can never leave because first they don't make enough. They might not even know the language to get enough help. And then they always get threatened because they'll be like, well, I'll fucking throw you into the streets then.
They always
Now
get their
what?
documents taken too.
Yeah, they hold on to their documents. If they have legitimate, like, there's just fucked up.
There's so many ways they could take advantage.
Yeah, and then like man, it's just tough because sometimes you just don't know if these like undocumented workers are being traded like in that sense and held hostage, because some of them just have servants in the house too that are like doing free work, and they're like, well, you're here for a better quality of life, we're feeding you, and that's enough. Fuck. Yeah.
Does like Chinese or Japanese, like other cultures, have this same thing? Because in Filipino culture, it's kind of like a dark problem where like well-off families that migrate to America will bring like a auntie, but she's not actually blood. It's really just like a servant, and they just do nothing but like housework, and they're barely getting paid anything. They live there, but as a kid, you grow up thinking it's your actual aunt. And then eventually you find out it's a nanny.
Are they happy though? Like, are they part of the family or no?
They're always treated lesser. They're always. It's very clear.
So there's a caste system or servant system.
Absolutely. It's basically just like trying to operate as you did in the Philippines, but it would be unacceptable here to do that. So then you have to make this fake like veneer that's like an unspoken. Oh, this is your aunt.
Happens a lot over here.
It happens.
Well, because in the
here.
Philippines,
It happens here.
they have a lot of class separation, right? So there's a lot of servants and people that work for these like well-to-do.
Huge separation of class.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also just like any place where there's someone well off. Like, it's just harder to do that in America, where you can have a live-in servant. You'd have to pay them a fair wage, but then for like in the Philippines, sometimes you'll just take a poor family that has like a daughter that's like, oh, you know what? Let me get your daughter as a servant here, and we'll give her a place to live. I'll guarantee she has like a pretty good life.
Wow.
And then that's like a thing that happens a lot there. So when you migrate here and you want to keep that system, you have to like put on this fake like, oh, here's extra bonus auntie. Yeah.
But then that auntie,
They get citizenship?
that auntie would still be able to take their, seemingly lower wages for an American standard, but like in terms of like the economic, financial exchange, it's like being able to send that money back to their family back home is a good opportunity compared to what they were doing anyway as a house servant in the Philippines. You know what I'm saying? So
I think Japanese people are too lazy for that because the conversion rate is pretty similar. And on top of that, like, if you go to any Japanese restaurant, they're only open for lunch and dinner. They're like trying to find ways not to work.
As Joe rolls his eyes.
2 to 5.
As he's disgusted.
I was trying to buy black sesame ice cream.
Yeah.
Fucking 2 days ago, and then I was like, okay, went to 16899 Ranch. And then I saw Nakata Market of Japan. I'm like, man, it's fucking closed. I bet you, because it was like 7:02 and they closed at 7. Of course.
Okay.
And they're the ones that probably would have the black sesame ice cream.
You should have went to the Chinese market, dude. They're like, we closed, but go ahead.
I know.
You know, they
I did. I went
never
to
refuse a sale, dude.
I went to 99 Ranch, but they didn't have like the legit Japanese brands.
I never had black sesame.
Oh, it's
Very
good, dude.
Very good.
black sesame is good.
Do you like nutty flavors like hazelnut and stuff?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah, dude, you're gonna love it.
You know what they used to do though?
You like North
when,
Korean food mainly though, huh?
Yeah, basically.
You know what happens a lot when people are poor, right? Like, what used to happen was like, so when Japan industrialized, a lot of farmers lost work, so they would go in mass to like Hawaii, Brazil, all those places, and then that's how you have these like communities out there of like Japanese in Hawaii or whatever, because they didn't even make enough to go back or even do anything. And then also they would get, I guess this is kind of like slavery, but they had picture bribes because the girls who came from poor families, they couldn't find a husband. So then these immigrants that went to like America, Hawaii, whatever at the time, Hawaii wasn't a part of America, they would save up money, and then it would be like old school Instagram, where they would send pictures and then they would send pictures back and then they would arrange the marriage, fucking get catfished in both ways, you know? And then they would get matched up, and then the girls can't go back, and then they're like, well, fuck, I thought you were like a rich American dude, and then they're like, I have to fucking work in the fields and you're just a peasant too? And then so that kind of shit went down. Picture
Massive
brides.
catfish,
But like nowadays, I think with wealth, it'll change countries, you know? So like if the Philippines have a bigger middle class, they're probably not gonna have to deal with that kind of slavery. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very weird type.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel wrong at all. Like when you grow up around it, you
Yeah.
just everyone
normal.
seems happy,
Yeah.
and then once you grow up, you realize like economically, damn, this auntie never left the house. Like she didn't get to go anywhere or do anything.
Yeah.
Her life
She
was
just
to serve
cooking
your
for
family.
everybody. Absolutely.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's weird.